homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's out the Capitol Hills rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame. I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building, my whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to the Morning Update Show. And yes, it's me greeting you right here instead of my partner in crime, Trey Holiday. She's taking a much-needed vacation, so we got a really great week for you lined up this week. We got in-studio guests co-hosted with me all week. Today we got Sean Goode from Choose 180. What's up, man?
Man, so good to see you, bro. And I got my I Am Inspired by Black Women hoodie on in honor of Trey.
There it
because,
is.
You know, every day at 11 o'clock, that's where I'm getting my inspiration from.
Man, you know, you're always representing, and I appreciate you being here for real.
Man, it's an honor to be able to show up and serve alongside you, brother.
Okay, good stuff. We're going to be talking, Sean's with us all day, and we're also going to be talking about some of the stuff that Choose 180 has been doing, and we're going to highlight that. But let me hop into it. Want to welcome you again to the Morning Update Show and remind you that right now is the perfect time to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel could appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Today, before that, I got to give a big shout out to our partners, the South Seattle Emerald and KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. Reminder to you all as well is that you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. We got SoundCloud right up there on the screen right now. We'll put the link into the comments. But iTunes, Google, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, you can check out the Morning Update Show. Again, Sean Goode in studio with us, and we're going to be joined a little later in the show by cartoonist and comedian Brett Hamil, talking about his latest Did you read that?
I did read it.
Yo, so Brett's go, but sometimes Brett be nailing them, man.
Yeah, he was on point with this one.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we're gonna be talking to Brett Hamil as well, covering a few things here. We got a lot of this came out on Friday. The first thing we want to play. It's about 4.5 minutes, but it's worth the watch. We aired this on Friday, and we got so much response from the community about it. This is a segment that we put together for Feel Good Friday when we sat down over there at the Mohi when Converge Media were basically in the Mohi as part of the Stand Up Seattle Democracy Project exhibit, which is going on right now.
America is a work in progress, and if we don't work, it won't progress. We need to understand, be very clear, that a democracy only works when we work. Everybody has a job to do. We're all stakeholders in this society. Our share is the vote, and we need to take our role as shareholders in this country very seriously.
I think this is an exhibit that really hits people at a personal level. What I learned from this exhibit, and I had to learn it, it wasn't intuitive to me, is that democracy is an unfinished project. Now is the time, I think, for us to remind ourselves that this is a project, we are a part of it, and its success ultimately depends on us. And it requires all of us to be a part of it. It has been, at best, a partial success, and it has a whole lot of failures that we can correct, that we must correct. And to me, the exhibit was revelatory of that.
My entire life, I've always believed that actions speak louder than words. You gotta walk the walk now. Now it's time to go walk, bro. You talked enough, now let's go walk it. What if the city stood up like this for itself? How much change could we affect here? How much change can we get done here if we come out and stand up like this for where we live?
Democracy is everything to me. I think that the United States has that open system. I mean, I've visited other countries. I've been outside of the United States and I've seen it in other ways and forms. And still here in the United States, we have probably one of the best forms of democracy, though it's really hard for us sometimes, and particularly now.
Being in a museum and a repository of history, I think that it's important that people in Seattle realize that the Seattle protest is a chapter in a very long book here in Seattle and in the state of Washington for people standing up. And we're living this chapter right now, so we feel it. It's emotional, it's intense. You know, I'm still living with injuries from the protest.
You can tell me that you believe in me and that you're here for my life. Show me. Show me. What we did was we would march every single day to different parts of Seattle, go to council members' houses, talking to them, getting them to engage with the community that is most impacted by systematic racism.
Democracy is best when we challenge it. When it's under attack, it actually gets stronger. All the protests we saw this summer, all the protests that you read about in this exhibit that go back hundreds of years, they have made democracy live up to its promise. Imperfectly, of course, but there would be no progress without those challenges.
We can't let people forget what happened in Seattle. And I hope that it emboldens those out there younger than us to be prepared to write that next chapter. Because this story, this saga called democracy is continuously being written daily. And I hope that what our city went through last year will inspire people to pick up that pen and continue to write the next chapter of democracy in our city.
We can look at action from sitting down and writing a letter, talking to your neighbor, to being out on the street, you know, with the protest sign, pushing back. So there are all sorts of ways to join this democracy and this effort.
Being able to have that many dialogues with that many council members on the city level, on the county level, it was like, yo, you really can do this. We really can do this. Like, this is a real thing that can happen. Somebody has to stand up for what we're living in. We have the power to change this city, and all it takes is somebody inspiring somebody else to do it. And this is who I gotta be. Whether I like it or not, you know, this is who I have to be in order to ensure that my brothers grow up and die from natural causes, not the police.
We, the people, the citizen stakeholder of this city, this county, and this state, we have to reclaim our power. We have to reclaim our authority. And our chapter is long, our book is long. Our history for standing up is long. Our history of getting beat down is long. But you know what? In the fight for democracy is very much like that phoenix that continues to rise from the ashes. And if there's anything that I want people to take away is study this museum, study these movements, study things that occurred, study advances, and then see what happened when people took their foot off the gas.
Don't take the foot off the gas.
Yeah, keep that same energy. You know, I would tell people all the time, I'm celebrating 10 years of being married this year. You know I was going to slip in my wife somewhere, man. You know it's going to come in sometime. But, like, one of the things I tell people is, like, the energy I came into my marriage with is the same energy I show up with every morning. You know, she asks the same question every day. She says, how did you sleep? And I say, next to an angel. I've been saying the same answer for 10 years plus now, and it's that same energy. And in this movement, we need the same thing. Don't show up at a protest on a weekend and then go right back to the same mental state when that weekday hits. We need that to continue forward.
Yeah, no, for sure. Best thing is one, Morning Update show. We have a collection now of Sean Goode loving his wife's greatest hits. We're going to clip that out for you. This was our version, right, for Feel Good Friday. Somebody asked in the comments in about 2 weeks the composite version, including all the questions. Quite a few guests there. Mohai is going to be releasing that out. And encourage you to go check out the exhibit, Stand Up Seattle, the Democracy Project. We got Brett Hamil in the green room. Brett, we're running a few minutes behind today, but don't worry, we got you covered. This is a story that was big what's been evolving over the last few weeks, coming from north of the border, up in Kamloops, Canada, and the discovery of a mass grave there at a former Indian school.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is apologizing to Indigenous Canadians after the remains of more than 200 Indigenous children were found last week. Some were as young as 3. Many from Indigenous communities gathered this week to honor the lives lost. The remains were discovered in Kamloops, British Columbia, at what was once Canada's largest residential school for Indigenous children. Our national correspondent Jerika Duncan spoke with a survivor. Jerika, good morning.
Good morning. This is such a dark chapter of history for Canada that needs to be told. The Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia used to have at least 51 confirmed deaths on its official record. Well, sadly, one survivor told us he was not surprised to find out at least 215 more students were found buried there.
Sometimes kids would not show up in classroom. They would disappear for the next day, and we knew that they were gone, but we didn't know where they were gone.
Gary Gottfriedson is a survivor of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. He's among the thousands of Indigenous peoples legally mandated by the Canadian government to attend such institutions. They were set up in the late 1800s and often operated by the Catholic Church. The last one closed in 1997. University of Alberta professor Crystal Gale Fraser says abuse was rampant.
The whole point was to erase their Indigenous identities. These Indian residential schools have often been compared to prisons.
We were never allowed to speak our languages in there because of fear of punishment. So those of us that were little were absolutely terrified.
A Truth and Reconciliation Commission was formed to investigate abuse at the Indian residential schools. In 2015, it issued a report saying the government committed cultural genocide. At least 4,000 students died at these schools, some of disease, neglect, accidents, or abuse. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Saying sorry for the tragedies of the past is not enough. It is not enough for the children who died, for the families, or for the survivors and communities.
The heinous discovery happened after one of the Canadian First Nations used radar technology on the ground near the school.
Indigenous communities and families have been saying these things for decades, often not notified of deaths. Their children never return home, unable to get any sorts of answers.
In a statement that First Nations chief wrote, the true accounting of the missing students will hopefully bring some peace and closure to those lives lost. As for Goode, he's still haunted by the memories.
We were made to feel ugly because we were told we were ugly. We were made to feel like we were nothing but dirt. And that has remained with me to this very, very day. It's I've never felt that I was good enough for anything.
The Canadian government has paid more than $1.6 billion to survivors of these schools. That 2015 commission recommended 94 calls to action to help the country address its past treatment of Indigenous children. Indigenous communities are now calling for other school sites to also be searched for remains of school children.
Just that phrase, remains of school children, just a horrific situation. But this Truth and Reconciliation Committee is interesting. It's an idea that has been tried in other countries. Not here, though.
Yeah.
Drika, thank you very much.
Sean, good?
Oh, stripped of their culture, stripped of their language, stripped of their family relationships, and then buried in unmarked graves underneath the school site. Canada has the receipts, but we have the receipts here in the United States of America as well. I mean, what do you say? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, it's just horrible. And a lot of Indigenous people from Canada and North America, well, it's tough to get across the border unless you can officially right now with COVID, but they descended on the area there, just to honor, the mass grave. I mean, it's horrible. And, they tried Truth and Reconciliation there, and we see this report and 95 calls to action and everything else. And I hope that they do visit the other schools.
Yeah, and I get exhausted by commissions, right? Like, you get a commission for everything. Anytime there's been some sort of systemic harm done, we bring up another commission. But these commissions have more omissions and less actions, right? We need things that move forward and actually lead to progressive change, so the people who have historically held power begin to acquiesce that way we can really begin to repair the past harm.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lots of love for our Indigenous brothers and sisters up there north of the border and down here as well. Keeping it local, this is an interesting story that's happening in the north end of Seattle around the homelessness issue here in the area of Bitter Lake, right there next to, I think it's Broadview Elementary School. Here's a clip from King 5. It's becoming a political issue right now.
Yeah, this is definitely becoming an issue in the mayoral campaign. Already we have seen over the last several months the city and the Seattle School District at an impasse over what to do with this site, despite the fact that neighbors, teachers, parents have all complained about their concerns with safety because of this homeless camp behind me. And today, a Seattle mayoral candidate who showed up here on site got an earful.
The city of Seattle is failing.
Bruce Harrell is the former Seattle City Council president, now mayoral candidate.
They need help, they need services, they need housing, and they're also saying they're tired of the finger pointing.
Yet today, Harrell did extend his finger in one direction.
At the end of the day, it is the mayor's responsibility to address this. This is the crisis of the day.
The homeless encampment is on district property below Broadview Thompson K-8 school. Seattle's current mayor, Jenny Durkin, has said the district has declined help addressing the situation, even after numerous complaints about safety and lockdowns related to the campers. Today, multiple mayoral candidates weighed in. Justin Farrell says Durkin is passing the buck. Casey's Six Killer called it a failure by the school board. Lorena Gonzalez said she's working to secure the resources, and candidate Andrew Grant Houston called for more tiny homes.
Time out.
Harrell's public statement on the issue was interrupted.
You did judge the question about why they're being allowed to break the law day after day.
By a group of homeowners and nearby residents who say they're frustrated by the lack of action and any visible services being provided to the unsheltered or even a plan, and say the encampment is being held to a lower standard than the kids in school nearby.
The kids go between there and here.
There are needles and human waste being dumped into the lake.
So
if a student wants to bring an air gun to school to defend themselves, that would somehow be okay to break that law.
I didn't say that at all. I didn't even remotely say that.
Just an example of how big this issue and really the overall issue of homelessness is in this city right now and will be in this campaign. We did reach out to the current Seattle Mayor, Jenny Durkan, for comment about this encampment, and her office sent us a statement in terms that said that she believed the encampment should have been removed months ago, but the district objected. And quoting now, we have and will continue to work with the SPS leadership in providing technical assistance so the school district can remove the encampment on their property. The district told me, as far as removal or action, quoting now, we do not have the expertise or resources to do so effectively. And so it continues. That is the story live in North Seattle. Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
All right, so a few things here. But first of all, I want to tell everybody, we're going to do a special edition of Writer's Block. Well, actually, Writer's Block returns this Thursday at 8 p.m. And we've got Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald. We got Erica C. Barnett, who stays on these homeless issues. We got Hannah Scott from Cairo FM and a few other reporters, and they're discussing this issue here up at Bitter Lake, and then also homelessness in Seattle, Compassion Seattle. So, man, it's private property. The school district owns it. The school district, so like the city can't just run up on it because it's private property. The school district is saying they don't have the technical expertise. The city is saying, well, you know, we could give you the technical expertise or make you aware of it. And now, you know, the candidates have jumped in this as well.
People who are living unhoused shouldn't be political ploys. I mean, think about this. I think it was in the Times this morning, they were talking about youth homelessness was supposed to be ended in King County by 2021. Where are we at? Oh, my bad. You know what I mean? Like, so how often are we going to continue to have a conversation that's focused around politics versus focused around people? These are actual folks who are living unhoused.
Yeah, and, you know, apparently there's no services that are, you know, I mean, like, so maybe like in the interim, they don't have a solution, but, you know, services are being provided. But I'm not going to go too deep in it right now because, you know, all last week we were focused on something else. But I'm bringing in all the people who have been writing and covering the story, and they're going to be here Thursday at 8 p.m., and we'll discuss that. And one more clip here real quick, and we'll put this link in the article. We'll put the link in the comments. Talked to Carolyn Bick of the South Seattle Emerald, and they wrote a 5-part series about the issues with oversight within the King County Sheriff's Office and King County as a whole.
One was in regards to, say, getting documents and information that Olio should just have pretty easy access to in a timely manner. So when Deb Jacobs ordered or commissioned the OIR group report into the shooting death of Tommy Lay from 2017. The OIR group report was an investigative report into his shooting death and then how the King County Sheriff's Office handled the internal investigation of that shooting afterwards. It took Olio almost, I think, about 2.5 years to get all of the documents they requested, even though all the documents that they requested appeared to have been at the King County Sheriff's Office fingertips. And they had to ask multiple times. They were often met with stonewalling, unresponded to emails, etc. It was quite interesting to read all of those emails, which are many of them published in many significant ones published in, I think it's the third article in the series.
Bick done written so many articles about this. It's like 3, 4, but a total of 5. The link is there in the comments. And what they just said right there was that hundreds of documents regarding the Tommy Lay investigation. It was just right there in the sheriff's office, but the sheriff wouldn't share the documents with oversight.
Yeah, I mean, who is going to police the police, right? We see this over and over and over again in these instances. No matter how many levels of accountability we set up, there's always something in place to circumvent that accountability. Eventually, we have to deal with the root cause of it all, and we don't have the time to dive into it today, but this historical presence of policing has been problematic since the beginning. We have to begin to envision something different so we don't have young people walking through streets with pens in their hand getting murdered.
Yeah, the crazy thing is they're saying that Lay might not even had a penny. Definitely never had the knife that they originally claimed he had. All right, we got some good news here.
Please.
Before we go to break, we got Brett Hamil there in the green room, and I meant to mention this at the top of the show, but we moved too quickly. You guys have been following the story of Niani Rashad, who was missing out there in Kent. Niani was found Friday night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So such a blessing there. Thank you for everybody out there for your support, your prayers. People were showing up out there in Kent. Niani was found unharmed and is home. So, I mean, a great story. I wanted to put this up here. This was in the Seattle Times. Yesterday, Omari Salisbury runs Converge Media from behind and in front of the camera. Great article, to be honest with you, by Brendan Kiley. And some amazing photos by Erica Schultz. We got the link there in the comment. Did you check the article?
Yeah, I mean, who's going to do birthdays like you do birthdays, right? You're like, if you're going to have a birthday weekend, you go ahead and do it all the way, huh?
Might as well. Yeah, I didn't time it like that, but you know what I'm saying? It came out well. We're going to take a quick break. I have a handcrafted motion graphic right here. Brett Hamil, cartoonist, South Seattle Emeralds, coming right at us on the other side of the break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Joined special guest host today, Sean Goode, Choose 180.
Thanks for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
And actually, I got to overlay real quick before we go into Brett. See, a lot of people might think that I brought you here because Choose 180, you're impacting young people, you're a voice in the community. But let's put this up on screen here, all you. Well, it's in the overlays, way up top. Yeah, no, it's all good. See, I made a handcrafted. You're a diehard Mariners fan like I am. This is the only reason I really brought you on the show. You know what I'm saying? Because you love the Mariners so much.
Man, you know, it is as long as that's my son, and as long as my son has been alive, the Mariners have not won a thing. Like he is 19 years old, and the year he was born was the last time we had a winning season. It feels like.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Me and you, we're kindred Mariners spirits. You know what I'm saying? It's like. We'll never give up on the M's. All right. Oh, yeah. D'Alessandro, please bring in Brett Hamil.
What's up, y'all?
Brett, what's up, man? Welcome back to the Morning Update Show.
Good to be here.
All right. You say hi to Sean?
It's good to see you.
All
right. Hey, man, by the way, nice home studio. You must be doing lots of interviews or something.
No, it's a mess, actually.
Well, I mean, video, we get people, they're all pixelated, it's all fuzzy and everything. You're looking crispy, man.
I try to get the lighting right,
Okay.
Flatter myself a little.
Good stuff. So this was something that I don't necessarily have to follow because I already know what's up. And I've kind of been saying this for a while. One around the homeless issue is that we get a lot of people, especially from suburban cities around Seattle and other places, that they talk so bad about Seattle, but then they're hanging out in Seattle and even moving into Seattle. And before we put your comic strip into play, what inspired this one?
I mean, a lot of these political cartoons come from trying to figure out the contradictions that people are holding at the same time in their brain. So in this case, Seattle is an anarchist hellhole, and everyone's miserable, and it's entirely covered in human feces. But at the same time, it's the fastest growing city in the country last year. So everyone's leaving, but the ones that are coming in can't find a place to live. So it's just like a lot of the ways that politicians and business interests twist people's minds around is by making them deny reality, the reality right in front of them, which is that this is a vibrant city. Houses are selling at record prices, and yet it's this terrible hellhole that's riddled with crime. So it's just a lot of these ideas just come from kind of trying to tease out those contradictions.
Right. We're going to go ahead and put up this comic strip, and we'll let you read through it for everybody.
Sure. I was in town on business, and I wanted to see all the destruction from last year's riots. They said I should go to Capitol Hill. As I was looking up at all the horrible graffiti and boarded up windows, I tripped over a pile of used syringes and fell into a condo open house, where I wound up finding an offer letter on a spacious 2-bedroom. Nano Clouder allowed me to relocate, and now I live here. This neighborhood has so many great amenities. Hold on, it's 10:01. I gotta call in a noise complaint on the gay bar next door.
Yo, I mean, I'm saying, like, I just get that one, Sean.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it on Instagram over the week, and I just shook my head, right? Because Seattle is dying. But at the same time, we're one of the fastest growing cities. Like, help me understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of contradictions like that. You know, our police department needs more money, even though they're less efficient than they were when they got half that money, for example. And you're supposed to believe these two things when they're clearly, so as a cartoonist, the job is just to like scream like, this is madness and this is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's funny.
Yeah, I think that definitely our local media here played into this, but I think that a lot of our media did a disservice in giving a very inaccurate picture of what was occurring here in the city. And, you know, our studios are right here in Pioneer Square on First and Washington. And believe me, man, over the weekend, it's a ton of people in town, tourists and some everything else. And by the way, a lot of the same unhoused population that's over there right across at Occidental Park or the other park, they're still there. The tourists are still there. Life was kind of going on. I didn't see people being like, oh, we got to stay away from here or anything else. And, I mean, we saw it, especially covering protests and everything else. People were just so inflammatory with their reporting. The whole city is dying. The whole city has lost its soul.
Yeah, and you can talk to almost anyone who's involved in the protests, and people, you know, they have their relatives from West Virginia or something saying, is the city, is it on fire where you live? And it's like, no, it's like a 2 or 3 block area. Everything's fine. We went out for ice cream, you know, and just being confronted with that national, and the people who are promulgating this whole national perception of Seattle are the ones that are the most financially invested in real estate and big business in the city. You know, the Chamber of Commerce type interests are like, they're doing the opposite of their job, which is to convince everyone Seattle's terrible so that we can scare everyone and put them into voting for these like moderate candidates who've done nothing for the past decade. I mean, you brought up Bruce Harrell in his press conference in front of the tent camp before. That guy was in office for 12 years. He's only been out of office for 18 months. So what is he going to do now that he didn't do in the 12 years he was in office? And now he wants to, you know, run the shop. So it's just, you know, and we need to look at who benefits from this perception of Seattle as this anarchist hellhole. I don't think anyone does ultimately, but the people who are getting the money, their real estate is still selling like hotcakes. So they're benefiting financially while like dragging down the perception of the city. It's wild.
Yeah, one of the things I appreciate about your comics is you get to tell the truth in a way that people can process it that may otherwise just turn around and not even want to take a look at it. Because I feel you. I can think about countless people who have asked me about Chop and Chaz and Capitol Hill and if Seattle was on fire. And I'm looking at them like, you mean those 3-4 blocks that during that particular season? It was blown way out of proportion, but I gotta hammer it home for Converge. This is why media like Converge matters, is because they're not curating things for special interests, for advertisers, to guarantee a particular demographic so people lean in and watch. They're creating media for us, by us, so that way we can be attuned to the real news that's going on. That's why all of y'all watching or sharing the feed got to make sure you support, because this is necessary. Otherwise, you don't hear stories like this. You don't hear the truth in a way that's real to all of us.
Yeah, that real stuff. I mean, the only place you're finding it now is places like this and the Emerald. Meanwhile, all of the legacy media outlets, the Comos and the K5s, they went around the bend. I don't even know exactly when it happened, but I think that Chop broke their brains. And now like what you're seeing on there is so wildly out of touch with what's actually happening. I mean, yeah, there's crime here. It's like there might have been a moderate uptick in crime, but the rates are pretty much the same, even as we pour more money into the SPD. Things are, I moved here in 2000, and, I don't see that it's that much worse. I see that the homelessness problem is that much worse. But that's a whole other issue. Now, do we want to solve it, or do we want to, sensationalize it? And there's two divergent paths there.
All right, Brett, I appreciate you. This was last minute too. I hit Brett and I was like, yo, because I read that. I bump into that character in your comic like all the time. You know what I'm saying? Tell people how they can keep up with you and your comics and everything else.
Yeah, sure. You can follow me at Brett Hamil Comics with an X, so BRETTHAMIL COMIX. And you can see the Sunday comics I do every week. I also do a bunch of other stuff on there. So I have 3 collections of comics, 2 collected from the Emerald Weekly Comics. Also, for all you dads out there, Sean, maybe you might be. I have this one. It's called Dumb Daddy, Dumb Daddy. It's a collection of comics about being a dad, having a little kid. Father's Day is coming up, so get those orders in. You can find all that info on my Twitter or on my Instagram, and get Dad something nice for once.
Yeah, for once. That
yes,
would be
please.
Nice.
Yes, please.
Hey, Brett Hamil, man, appreciate you taking time, man. Can't wait to talk to you again soon.
All right, man. Great to talk to you guys.
All right,
Take
bro.
care.
Peace. Yeah, I mean, well, that's a good format, like you said, cartoonist, because they put everything that's there, just like, you know what I'm saying, in like 6 slides or 9 slides.
Yeah, often I read his comics and I think like, man, I wish I could say some of that stuff out loud, but I just won't say it out loud. But I'm glad he's saying it out loud.
Somebody got to say it
Come
out
on.
loud. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, it's all about Choose 180. You're watching The Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Join special guest host Trey Holiday is on vacation on this week. Sean Goode.
Man, I'm so grateful. This is really cool. I feel I came into the studio kind of fanboying. I can't even front. I was like, this is where it happens every day at 11 o'clock. I'm here.
This is where it happens, man. We actually got real studio space, and it's on and popping.
Yeah, man.
We gotta get Jake Graver brought in here so we can get some photos. We'll put you up on the wall.
Okay.
All right, brother. So now is the time for people who are new to you and to Choose 180. Why don't you tell us all about it?
Yeah. Choose 180 is a nonprofit organization that works to transform systems of injustice while supporting the young people who are disproportionately impacted by those systems. And we do it in a variety of different ways. First and foremost, we partner with institutional leaders like prosecutors and then create pathways for young people to engage with us intentionally, so that way we can support them on their journey in the direction that they desire that best honors the commitment to their heart. And we've been doing this work since 2011. It began with the intentionality of a community leader named Doug Wheeler, who leaned in partnership with Dan Satterberg and created what at that time was called the 180 program. At its foundation, two brilliant leaders, Dominique Davis and Terrell Dorsey, led the work until about 2017 when I took over stewardship of it. And over the last 4.5 years, we've grown exponentially. We've been able to serve more and go deeper. And I'll tell you, we got the receipts to prove the impact. 90% of the young people who engage in our traditional diversionary practice don't return to the criminal legal system within 12 months of engaging with us. And it's not because we got the secret sauce, because we do. It's not because we hire folks with lived experience, because we do. It's because most of these young people don't need their behavior to be criminalized in the first place in order for their behavior to change. In fact, all of them simply need community to engage them at these critical moments to help them pause, pivot, and commit to a new direction. And I'm grateful I get to serve in this way, and I'm grateful I get to show up in this space and serve with you today, man.
Yeah, no, and you shared a real interesting story, and I'm like feeling some kind of way. You're like, yo, this is the studio. You were just, doing something with Kelly Clarkson on the Kelly Clarkson show not too long ago. But you shared an interesting story as to your life journey and kind of the introspection into this work. We'll play that now.
And I have been so excited since reading all about you, about having you on the show. I think it's incredible what you're doing. So two very different events in your childhood inspired what you do right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was 6 years old, I visited my brother, who at the age of 13 was incarcerated for a poor choice that he made. And he was locked up inside of a kid jail until he was a 21-year-old man. And when I went to visit him on this day, the security guard, when I stepped into the building, pointed me to an article that was on the wall behind me. And this article was all about my brother and how he did this amazing job going and visiting a school and inspiring the young people. And it wasn't lost on me at the age of 6 that although he could do so much great outside of this building, because of a poor choice he made when he was a 13-year-old, he was stuck in here until he was 21. And by the time I got to the age of about 10, 11, 12, I had a really difficult anger management problems, and I would break holes in doors and walls and even harm my mother, and the police got called on me. And I remember this day clearly when the police brought me down, put me in the back of their car and said, look, we can take you with us or send you back upstairs. But if we send you back upstairs and we have to come back, you're definitely coming with us again. And that moment of grace was a big pivot moment for me that helped me commit to a new direction for my life. We've recognized that grace is a far better motivator for behavior change than guilt ever could be.
Grace is a far better motivator for behavior change than guilt ever could be. Why don't you expand on that?
Yeah, thanks, Owen. Thanks for running that clip, man. That's a real special moment, but there's no insignificant moments. And I'm grateful that the one that we're sharing right now is equal to that. Guilt locks people in to the moment that they did something wrong and holds them accountable to who they were. Grace releases the pressure of being limited to that moment and expands the possibility that's in front of them. Our organization believes that young people are possibilities to be developed and not problems to be solved. Guilt would say that you're a problem, let's figure out how to solve you. Grace says you're a possibility. How do we invest in that possibility and make sure you have the space to fully develop? All of us, myself included, have had those moments where we've done something that we've regretted. And the only difference between those that are sitting right here, me and you, and others who don't have that opportunity is who was there at that moment and what choices were provided for them to commit to a new direction. I was fortunate to have support to make a different choice. So many young people, my brother included, didn't have that support at that time. It's our commitment as an organization and really as a broader lens of community stakeholders to make sure there's a safety net in place so that all young people have a choice, that they can honor a commitment to something new and not just do it because they believe it, but do it because we're resourcing that possibility and investing in them with time and intentionality to make sure they have what they need to fully live into who they can be.
I'm gonna tell you that grace is something that even beyond the young people who are in Choose 180 and everything else, grace is something that we just need across our society. Grace and humanity. I mean, I'm somebody for sure. You know, it's been many a times where somebody has just given some grace. You know, and really it's propelled me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man, thank you. And let me, you know, that's why I'm big on paying it forward. There's so many people that took time and so many people just in my life journey that showed so much grace and has propelled me to where I'm at.
Yeah. And let me say this, right? This is where grace gets complicated, right? Because grace selectively applied is favoritism. And so the same grace that we apply to young people, we have to apply to our system stakeholders, which means the prosecutors, which means the judges, which means the law enforcement officers. Because if we don't give grace equally, then we begin to other the other, and by virtue become the very thing that we desire to vanquish, right? And you're right. To the same measure that we've been forgiven, we should also forgive. And that is the power, because when you really know that you've received grace, then you have no choice. It's an unctioning from within to pour that out to others when those interactions manifest themselves.
Yeah, you know, even it's a good conversation because there's so many things right now that interact my today. And then I think about it and I'm like, man, I remember 10 years ago when somebody pulled me to the side and there was this and that and everything else. And so the actions of someone showing grace even decades ago in my life interacts how I deal with people today. Because I hop in that time machine and I remember when somebody made that choice to just give some grace. Yeah, no, and you're right. We have to hit it on all the touch points in our society. Tell me this: what is the average? Someone who comes into the Choose 180 program. I know you guys do a lot of different stuff, but maybe the primary program that you're talking about, what does that look like for a young person who walks in the door?
Yeah, we get referrals from really 3 different channels. From community refers young people into us, school districts refer young people into us, and prosecutors. And at each one of those levels, absent of community, we're engaging a young person whose behavior has been criminalized. Whether it's been criminalized in schools and been determined that it's a suspendable or an expellable activity, whether it's been criminalized by law enforcement and they called it a misdemeanor because a young person got into a fight or stole something or did some sort of adolescent behavior, right? Those young people get referred into us, then we go out and engage them. We have folks that are reflective of the backgrounds of our community that go out into community, find young people where they're at, invite them to participate in our programming. And when they show up and engage in our programming, they recognize early on that they're in a room full of people with shared experiences, and that because we have shared experiences, guilt isn't the motivation for your presence. And then they soon learn what grace is, the true activator of this space. And we give them a tool we call the compass to really help them learn where they are, where it is they desire to go, what are the right supports, right choices they need to make, and what needs to get left behind. They take that tool with them, and we follow up with them afterward to make sure that they have everything they need to honor this commitment to get to their true north. And I believe all of us have a true north. And I believe all of us, if we identify that true north and are really honest about where we are, then we can have an assessment of what we need to let go of and what we need to pick up on too. And when we have that honest assessment with ourselves, there's nothing that can get in the way except somebody else that's willing to journey alongside us and either say you can do it or say you can't do it. And I've had enough people in my life to give me the can't do's. At this point, our organization, our community, each other, we have to be the can do for others so they can begin to see it and it's real to them.
Yeah, I mean, I know one thing for sure is every time we've talked, even way before the show, just briefly, then we've definitely talked much more over the last year, is that, I mean, you show up for this. On camera, off camera, these events and everything else. I don't think that anyone would ever doubt your commitment here to be the change that you want to see in our community, and ultimately one day to put yourself out of business, right?
Absolutely. We were talking about it before the show. Every nonprofit organization should exist to go out of business. Because if we exist forever, then we're benefiting from the suffering of young people. We should absolutely live in a world where young people are no longer suffering, so our work is no longer necessary. And if we're not creating a business plan that leads to that ultimate future, then we're just profiting off of the pain of the very people who we aspire to serve. And way too often, these huge monolithic nonprofit organizations can't see themselves out of a space where they exist because they're so centered on themselves, they've lost track of the people who they're really here to serve. Candidly, that's why I feel like we still have this crisis with people who are living unhoused. It's because it's constantly centered around those who want to leverage those who are living unhoused and not centering those who are actually living out in the streets.
Sean Goode in here dropping. Come in here dropping. We might have to do our weekly talk show, man.
Look, like I told you earlier, whatever you need, whenever you need, I'm here to serve. God gives me the gift of today. I'm gonna serve it with all I got.
Man, Sean Goode. All right, look, we're gonna take a break right now. We're gonna kind of look back on last Friday up there on Cap Hill and wind things up in a very positive discussion. And before we go, we're gonna let you make sure and tell people how they can get up with Choose 180. Quick break 2 coming your way, and when we come back, we have more of the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Over there, you see, back. No count in, director. All right, welcome back to Morning Update Show. You see, we having a good time over here. So, man, Friday was my birthday. It was a real interesting week, Sean, because we spent the whole week up there at Cal Anderson Park, less than 100 feet from the Western Barricade. People might remember we were at that barricade June 1st to June 8th. Man, it got funky, you know what I'm saying? And man, last week was it was a lot of different interviews with a lot of different people from protesters to media, residents. One of the most powerful interviews was Big Dan. We're gonna have to play that later on this week. But Big Dan Gregory, he's the one who stopped that car that was running to the protesters and got shot, like real life hero. But Friday was my birthday, and we celebrated on air. We'll go ahead and put a few photos up here. I can talk about it. Yeah, so me and Trey Holiday. That's Justin Carter, Capitol Hill Seattle blog. He co-hosted with us for a few days. Team from Clapback Culture, Mike Davis and Julia Jesse. Me and Mama, there go to Rev right there. Man, my kids, that's Omi and Acacia. My co-founder, Eric Calligraphy, co-founder of Converge, and the squad, that's Ike Everhart on the right and Curtis Delgado, and best friends, G Prez, Big D Burrell, and of course Lewis Rudd from Ezell's. and we took a big group photo there. Big shout out to Petty Rosso. They made a nice cake. You know, it was nice up there.
Yeah, man, you deserve to be celebrated.
Well, thank you, brother.
Yeah, they need to celebrate with some gifts into that Converge /donate. That's how they need to be lifting you up right now.
Oh, yeah, it's official. Sean Goode can come on anytime. Anytime he wants to come, okay? We'll put him in studio or video link.
Hit that birthday cash app for Big O.
There, it would be much appreciated here. And big shout out to our $5 family, man. You guys keeping us on air. Lewis Rudd, this was amazing, right? Because first of all, I had no idea. We asked G-Prez, and this is why G-Prez be around. It was like, yo, we're going to have people up here. It's my birthday. Can you just get some small bitings or something for people who show up to the set? Little did I know, but he called up Lewis Rudd. Lewis is president and CEO of Ezel's Famous Chicken. And Lewis delivers the chicken himself, first of all. And so, like, we're sitting over there like, yo, dog, there's Lewis. And then Lewis is kind of walking off before he goes, and I'm telling this story about, Lewis' impact on the community, man. 37 years, you know what I'm saying? He's got like 20 locations here in Washington and Oregon. A few years ago, I talked to him on the 35th anniversary. They didn't play over 5,000 people over these L's. And there's a lot of programs and stuff right now, but 20, 30 years ago, people were getting out of maybe out of jail, out of prison, maybe had a bump in the road. And before there was all these programs or whatever, Lewis would be like, come on, and give him a job over at Ezel's. And man, Lewis came over to the set, and he said these words right here, and it was real impactful. It was a real touching message for my birthday.
When I saw you down on the front line last year, telling those police officers, hold up, this ain't right. These people are peacefully protesting. And you had the camera, phone, not the big camera, it's pocket phone, out. You're on display for the world to see. Y'all are doing these people wrong. Not because you were getting paid, it was because of your passion. And then I saw you coming through the International District, and you were telling the protesters that were not peaceful, hey, hold up, y'all. These people ain't did nothing to you guys. Why you down here busting up their windows and breaking in their buildings? Cut it out. And then you went on to say this. You bring that up in my hood where my mom is, and I'll show you. You know, my God, I got stories to tell about some of the meetings that we had, and he would share with me, the global view, global citizen. But anyway, like I said, I can go on and on talking about our relationship and that vibe where, I would just call him up and say, oh, let's go and vibe, man. Let's vibe today. But I wanted to be there for you like you have been there for me and the community. And not just here, communities at large.
I remember sitting at my desk, and you brought me up to the front lines. I couldn't get away. I couldn't get downtown, but I was there because you created the space for me to be there. I remember tapping in early, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, the day when they were taking back over the precinct. I think it started like at 5 a.m., and you were there, right? Live streaming the entire time. You brought us someplace that many of us couldn't get to for a variety of different reasons. That's why we show up and serve, and why I personally will do anything that you ask me to do, brother, because I know that you would go the distance for any one of us.
Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, it was, you could have, man, I was sitting there stuck. I was like, Lewis is going to come on the set? He's going to, man. I mean, you already know. Go to Seattle, especially people here in the Seattle area and in our larger area in the Northwest are familiar with the Ezel's brand, man. Lewis is held in such high esteem in our community, so it was definitely a blessing to have him there.
Real important question, though. Small, spicy, or regular?
Oh, come on, man. I've been eating the same thing there for 30 years, man, which is a spicy 3-piece, a breast, 2 wings, man, with the roll, snack pack. And if they got the red Faygo, throw that in, too.
Come on. Do you get it with the ranch dip or the barbecue?
No, I'm good. They got the hot sauce over there now.
Okay.
But the spicy is like you don't need nothing. It's like it's all good.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm a spicy in that biscuit.
Oh yeah, okay.
Every day of the week, man.
Yeah,
if I could, but I'm getting too old for that now, man. Help me out.
Don't you be putting no Ezel's on the once a month diet, man. You're gonna have to cut something else out.
Oh man, you right. Show you right.
All right, we're getting ready to get out of here, and I appreciate you joining us, Sean. You go ahead and look in that camera right there and tell people, man, how they can keep up with Choose 180.
Well, first and foremost, it's important to me that you know that this is a collective movement, that there's a whole bunch of organizations and organizers out there on this path and this journey towards justice. And we are one organization of many that are hoping to pave a way forward so that more young people can be viewed through this lens of possibility. You can tap in with us at iChoose180 on Instagram, on Twitter, as well as Facebook. And you can follow me at whyichoose180 on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm grateful for the space that you created today, and thank you to all the folks who are tapping in, that are sharing, and most importantly, giving to Converge, because we need this. This isn't a want, y'all. This is a need. And our community, our region, we need this.
My man, Sean Goode. Sean is good and good, because I called Sean. I was like, I need you, brother. And man, here he is. So want to say thank you to you. And I think that's it for now. Like I said, a reminder that Thursday, 8 o'clock, special edition on Writer's Block. They're talking about, what's going up there in Bitter Lake, homelessness in general, and the Compassion Seattle Charter Amendment. We'll have Erica C. Barnett. We'll have Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald, Hannah Scott from Cairo FM, and a few other people. So you want to tune in Thursday, 8 o'clock, right after Clapback Culture. Again, want to thank my co-host for today, Sean Goode, Choose 180. Make sure and support them as well. And as usual, I'll leave you with this. Go forward in your purpose. Go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.